Part 1. The Cross and the Crown. Introduction.
He was born into the chaos of a collapsing empire, a soldier who would rise to claim absolute power. His ambition was boundless, his legacy eternal. Constantine, the son of a Western Caesar, became the sole ruler of the Roman world.
But his true revolution wasn't military. He witnessed a sign, embraced a new god, and forever ended the persecution of the Christian faith.
From the bloody battlefields of Italy to the sacred halls of Nicaea, he orchestrated the most profound transformation in Western history.
He unified a fractured empire, not with the old pagan gods of Rome, but with the cross. He built a new Rome, destined to last 1,000 years.
This is the story of the man who merged the power of the state with the power of the church, forging the political and spiritual identity of Europe.
But before he could rule, he had to survive the perilous game of emperors and stake his claim in a city he didn't even know. The Tetrarchy and early life.
Constantine was born around 272 AD in Nisus, modern-day Serbia. He was the son of Constantius Chlorus, a rising military officer.
His mother was Helena, a woman of humble origins who would later become one of Christianity's most celebrated saints.
Constantine's childhood was defined by the great political experiment of the Tetrarchy, the rule of four, designed to stabilize the sprawling empire.
To ensure loyalty, young Constantine was sent east, effectively a hostage at the courts of the powerful Eastern emperors, Diocletian and Galerius.
He received the finest education, excelled in the military, and absorbed the ruthless political lessons of the Tetrarchs. He learned how to survive and how to rule.
The Tetrarchy was inherently unstable. When Emperor Diocletian launched the great persecution of Christians, Constantine witnessed firsthand the raw power of imperial decree.
In 305 AD, the system crumbled. Constantine's father, Constantius, rose to the rank of Augustus in the west. Constantine immediately requested leave.
Emperor Galerius, who feared Constantine's ambition, reluctantly granted permission, but only after making a series of petty and dangerous delays.
Constantine fled the eastern court, reputedly crippling the post horses behind him to prevent pursuit. His future was now irrevocably tied to the west.
He successfully rejoined his father in Britain, where Constantius was campaigning against the Picts.
After a brief campaign, Constantius died in York in 306 AD. The very moment he passed, the legions acted.
Ignoring the rules of the Tetrarchy, the soldiers raised their banners and proclaimed Constantine as the new Augustus. The race for control had begun. The path of blood, defeating Maxentius.
Constantine accepted the title of Caesar, a diplomatic move that nonetheless set him on a collision course with the usurpers in Rome, particularly Maxentius.
Maxentius, controlling Rome and Italy, was consolidating his power, restoring the ancient pagan temples, and suppressing any perceived opposition.
In 312 AD, Constantine made a bold, high-risk decision to invade Italy with a force significantly smaller than Maxentius's vast army.
He swept through northern Italy, winning decisive victories at Turin and Verona. The final confrontation would be at the gates of Rome itself.
On the eve of the decisive battle, near the Milvian Bridge, Roman history records a vision that would change the world forever.
Constantine claimed he saw a luminous cross in the sky, bearing the inscription, "In hoc signo vinces," in this sign you shall conquer.
Interpreting the vision as a divine command, Constantine ordered his troops to immediately paint the Christian symbol, the chi-rho, onto their shields and standards.
On October 28, 312 AD, the two forces met. Maxentius had foolishly positioned his massive forces with their backs to the Tiber River.
Constantine's army, fighting under the protection of a new god, broke Maxentius's lines. Panic seized the enemy.
Maxentius's retreat turned into a rout. The bridge he had partially sabotaged for his own defense became a death trap for his own men.
Maxentius himself, weighted down by his imperial armor, was drowned in the Tiber. The long struggle for Rome was instantly over.
Constantine entered Rome triumphant, recognized by the Senate and people as the sole master of the West and the senior Augustus.
His first act was a powerful symbol. He demolished Maxentius's barracks and dedicated the Great Arch of Constantine near the Colosseum.
Crucially, he did not credit the victory to Jupiter or Mars, but subtly to a divinity. The stage was set for the recognition of Christianity. Part 2. Building a New Rome. The last pagan rival, Licinius.
While the Edict of Milan in 313 AD granted religious freedom, it did not grant political peace. The empire was still split.
After defeating other rivals, Constantine was left with only one remaining challenge: Licinius, the Augustus of the East.
Licinius initially agreed to the Edict of Milan, but soon became wary of Constantine's increasing patronage of the Christian faith.
The truce was fragile and broke down into outright conflict. The final clash was not just a political battle. It was increasingly seen as a struggle between Christ and the old gods.
The decisive battles came a decade after the Milvian Bridge. The final sea and land engagement was at Chrysopolis in 324 AD.
Again, Constantine fought under the protection of the Chi-Rho. Licinius was utterly defeated, marking the end of the tetrarchy system forever.
For the first time in over 30 years, the entire Roman world was united under a single emperor, Constantine the Solus Augustus.
Founding Constantinople.
The victory left Constantine with a monumental question: where should the capital of this new, unified and increasingly Christian empire be located?
Rome was too steeped in pagan tradition and too far from the military and economic heart of the empire in the east. He needed a fresh start.
Constantine chose the ancient Greek city of Byzantium, a stunningly strategic peninsula controlling the trade routes between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean.
He declared the site sacred and, in a monumental act of urban planning, set about building a new capital from scratch, Constantinople, the city of Constantine.
Constantine lavished resources on his new city, importing marble, statues, and, crucially, offering free land and grain to encourage settlement.
At the heart of the city, he built the imperial palace, the Senate, and a massive hippodrome for the people.
The city was inaugurated in 330 AD. It was a new Rome in name and structure, but fundamentally a Christian Rome dominated by churches, not pagan temples.
This act irrevocably shifted the power of the empire away from the West, securing the life of the Roman state for another 1,000 years in the East. Part 3. Defining the Faith. The Council of Nicaea.
Having granted Christians freedom, Constantine now faced a threat to the church far greater than persecution: internal division.
The primary theological dispute involved Arianism, a doctrine that challenged the divinity of Jesus Christ, threatening to shatter the unified Christian community.
Constantine, seeing the church as a crucial unifying force for his empire, could not tolerate this schism. He acted decisively as the emperor bishop.
In 325 AD, he summoned every bishop in the empire to the city of Nicaea, the first ecumenical council in history.
At the opening of the Council of Nicaea, Constantine, radiant in gold and jewels, personally entered the hall to preside over the proceedings.
This was an extraordinary display of imperial power dictating religious unity, ensuring the state's vision of a stable, consistent church doctrine.
Constantine actively participated in the debate, using his authority to push for a unified resolution that affirmed Christ's divinity.
The council resulted in the formulation of the Nicene Creed, which defined the fundamental tenets of the Christian faith for centuries to come. Final years and baptism.
Despite his piety, Constantine's reign was not without darkness. He was a Roman emperor first and foremost.
In a shocking episode of paranoia, he had his own eldest son, Crispus, and later his wife Fausta, executed on suspicion of an affair and plotting treason.
This streak of ruthlessness reminded the world that the man who championed Christ was still a powerful, unforgiving Roman military commander.
Constantine continued his massive program of building churches, commissioning basilicas over the tombs of the apostles in Rome and the holy sites in Jerusalem.
His mother, Helena, became a figure of immense importance, embarking on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land where she allegedly discovered the true cross.
As was common among many Christians of the era, Constantine delayed his baptism until his final moments, believing it would wash away a lifetime of sins.
In May 337 AD, the man who shaped the next millennium was finally baptized. He was immediately clothed in white Christian robes, refusing to wear the imperial purple again.
He died shortly after, leaving the vast, unified empire to his 3 surviving sons, a fatal return to the unstable system of division. Part 4. The Institutional Church and Cultural Shift. The Patronage of Architecture.
Constantine's faith found its grandest expression in stone and mortar. He was the greatest builder of the 4th century.
He adapted the traditional Roman basilica, a public hall of justice and commerce, into the primary, form for Christian worship.
In Rome, his patronage gave the world its first great public Christian sanctuaries, built on a colossal scale to accommodate the swelling ranks of the faithful.
His construction over the traditional burial site of St. Peter was a powerful statement, the establishment of the Christian faith as a permanent fixture in the imperial capital.
Constantine did not destroy the old pagan temples, but his actions often dwarfed them, subtly shifting the religious gravity of Roman urban life.
Social and legal reforms.
Constantine's personal conversion was mirrored by a series of legal reforms that integrated Christian morality and structure into Roman law.
He effectively gave the church legal authority, allowing disputes to be settled by bishops in ecclesiastical courts, bypassing the traditional Roman system.
Sunday, the Christian Sabbath, was established as a day of rest, officially prohibiting state business and legal proceedings.
Laws relating to family and marriage were strengthened. Constantine implemented harsher penalties for sexual immorality and made divorce more difficult.
However, the change was not always beneficial. Constantine's later laws were often characterized by extreme harshness, including gruesome penalties for certain crimes.
Part 5. Constantinople, the new center of gravity. The city's design and dedication.
Constantinople was a statement of imperial ambition, founded on strategic genius and built with religious fervor.
The heart of the city was the Maze, the central thoroughfare, lined with monuments and leading to the Augustan and the Great Palace.
Central to the design was the Forum of Constantine, a circular space dominated by a massive porphyry column bearing his statue.
The city was deliberately founded without the official presence of pagan temples, unlike Rome. Instead, it was filled with Christian symbols and relics. The imperial image.
Constantine carefully cultivated a new imperial image, one that was part Roman Augustus and part Christian apostle.
His clothing and coinage reflected this shift, subtly replacing traditional pagan deities with the chi-rho and other Christian symbols.
The famous colossal statue of Constantine, originally found in Rome, projects an image of divine, immovable authority, a powerful symbol of his absolute rule.
Even in death, his image was managed. He was buried in the Church of the Holy Apostles in Constantinople, surrounded by cenotaphs of the 12 apostles. Part 6. Legacy and Conclusion. The two Constantines.
The true complexity of Constantine lies in his duality, the ruthless Roman general who became the pious Christian saint.
Was his conversion genuine, or merely a brilliant military and political calculation to unify the empire under a rapidly growing, disciplined monotheistic faith?
He did not fully abolish paganism, but he systematically stripped it of its state support, transforming it from a public duty into a marginalized private practice.
The Byzantine Empire, the Roman East, traced its lineage directly to the founding of Constantinople, carrying the Roman legacy forward for over 1,000 years.
By moving the capital and adopting the cross, Constantine the Great did not merely reform the Roman world. He ended it and invented the Middle Ages,